Hey beautiful, I'm sorry I didn't make a proper video yesterday. I don't know what I did wrong. I messed up the microphone and I was really tired. So, sorry. Can you forgive me? Apparently love is forgiving. See what I did there? Anyway, here's the next part. He started to speak, but I interrupted. And another thing, I've always believed that we have to find our own paths in life. No one can tell another how to live. Socrates slapped his forehead with his palm, then looked upward in resignation. I'm part of your path, baboon. And I didn't exactly rob you from the cradle and lock you up here, you know. You can take off whenever you like. He walked to the door and held it open. Just then a black limousine pulled into the station, and Sock affected a British accent. Your car is ready, sir. Disoriented, I actually thought we were going on a trip in the limousine. I mean, why not? So befuddled, I walked straight out to the limo and started to climb into the back seat. I found myself staring into the wrinkled old face of a little man sitting with his arm round a girl of about 16, probably off the streets of Berkeley. He stared at me like a hostile lizard. Sock's hand grabbed me by the back of my sweater and dragged me out of the car. Closing the door, he apologised. Excuse my young friend, he's never been in a beautiful car like this, and he just got carried away. Didn't you, Jack? I nodded dumbly. What's going on? I whispered fiercely out of the side of my mouth, but he was already washing the windows when the car pulled away. I flushed with embarrassment. Why didn't you stop me, Socrates? Frankly, it was pretty funny. I hadn't realised you could be so gullible. We stood there in the middle of the night, staring each other down. Socrates grinned as I clenched my teeth. I was getting angry. I'm tired of playing the fool around you, I yelled. But you've been practising so diligently. You've got it nearly perfect. I wheeled around, kicked the trash can and stomped back toward the office. I called back to him. Why did you call me Jack a while ago? Short for jackass, he said. Alright, god damn it, I said as I ran by him to enter the office. Let's go on your journey. Whatever you want to give, I can take. Now where are we headed? Where am I headed? Socrates took a deep breath. Dan, I can't tell you this, at least not in so many words. Much of a warrior's path is subtle, invisible to the uninitiated. For now I have been showing you what a warrior is, not by showing you your own mind. You can come to understand that soon enough. Now he led me to a cubbyhole I hadn't noticed before, hidden behind the racks of tools in the garage and furnished with a small rug and a heavy straight-backed chair. The predominant colour of the nook was grey. My stomach felt queasy. Sit down, he said gently. Not until you explain what this is all about. I crossed my arms over my chest. Socrates sighed. I am a warrior. You are a baboon. Now choose. You can sit down and shut up. We can go back to your gymnastics spotlight and forget you ever knew me. You're serious? Yes, I am. I hesitated a second and then sat. Socrates reached into a drawer, took out some long pieces of cotton cloth and began to tie me to the chair. What are you going to do? Torture me? I half joked. No, now please be silent, he said, tying the last strip around my waist and behind the chair, like an airline seatbelt. Are we going flying, Sock? I asked nervously. In a manner of speaking, yes, he said, kneeling in front of me, taking my head in his hands and placing his thumbs against the upper ridges of my eye sockets. My teeth chattered. I had an excruciating urge to urinate. Nice. But in another second I'd forgotten all. Coloured lights flashed. I thought I heard his voice but couldn't quite make it out. It was too far away. We were walking down a corridor swathed in a blue fog. My feet moved but I couldn't feel ground. Gigantic trees surrounded us. They became buildings. The buildings became boulders. And we ascended a steep canyon that became the edge of a sheer cliff. The fog had cleared, the air was freezing, green clouds stretched below us for miles, meeting an orange sky on the horizon. I was shaking. I tried to say something to Socrates, but my voice came out muffled. My shaking grew uncontrollable. Sock put his hand on my belly. It was warm, had a wonderful, calming effect. I relaxed, and he took my arm firmly, tightening his grip. and hurtled forward off the edge of the world, pulling me with him. Without warning, the clouds disappeared, and we were... Sorry, darling, I just got a text from you. Apparently you love me. I was shaking. Without warning, the clouds disappeared and we were hanging from the rafters of an indoor stadium, swinging precariously like two drunken spiders high above the floor. Oops, said Sock, slight miscalculation. What the hell? I yelled, struggling for a better handhold. I swung myself up and over and lay panting on a beam, twining my arms and legs around it. Socrates had already perched himself lightly on the beam in front of me. I noticed that he handled himself well for an old man. Hey look, I pointed, it's a gymnastics meet. Socrates, you're nuts. I'm nuts, he laughed quietly. Look who's sitting on the beam next to me. How are we going to get down? Same way we got up, of course. How did we get up here? He scratched his head. I'm not precisely sure. I'd hoped for a front row seat. I guess they were sold out. I began to laugh shrilly. The whole thing was too ridiculous. Sock clapped a hand over my mouth. Shh. He removed his hand. That was a mistake. I laughed loudly before he muffled me again. I calmed down but felt giddy and started giggling. He whispered at me harshly. This journey is real, more real than the waking dreams of your usual life. Pay attention. By this time the scene below had indeed got my attention. The audience, from this height, coalesced into a multicoloured array of dots, a shimmering, rippling, pointerless painting. I caught sight of a raised platform in the middle of the arena, with a familiar bright blue square of floor exercise mat, surrounded by various gymnastics apparatus. My stomach rumbled in response. I experienced my usual pre-competition nervousness. Socrates reached into a small knapsack. Where had that come from? And handed me binoculars, just as a female performer walked out onto the floor. I focused my binoculars on the lone gymnast and saw she was from the Soviet Union, so we were attending an international exhibition somewhere. As she walked over to the uneven bars, I realised that I could hear her talking to herself. The acoustics in here, I thought, must be fantastic. But then I saw that her lips weren't moving. I moved the lenses quickly to the audience and heard the roar of many voices, yet they were just sitting quietly. Then it came to me. Somehow, I was reading their minds. Oh, I'm sorry, darling. I know I haven't quite run out of time, but I just had a text message from you saying I've got to call you. So, I love you, and I'm going to talk to you in a sec. I'll see you soon, but I don't know when you'll be listening to this, if ever. Bye bye.